All right, let's get right into it. Today we're looking at that bull case for Strive Inc., specifically the analyst report on its Bitcoin Treasury strategy.
And how we can make it sharper?
So the piece makes a really a strong case for upside. It highlights the goal of increasing Bitcoin per share, using the SATA preferred stock for acquisitions, all of that. But then we get to the price targets, and that's where things get a bit, fuzzy.
Yeah. The connection between that Bitcoin Treasury strategy and the actual dollar-based price targets, it just lacks explicit logical reinforcement.
But hold on, isn't the whole point that it's just a leveraged bet on Bitcoin?
Mhm.
Do we really need them to spell out the exact math?
You absolutely do. Because you can't just state the strategy and then, pull a number out of thin air. The report basically says, here's the bet on Bitcoin. And by the way, here's a 115 consensus target and a 208 fair value.
Right.
But it doesn't show the work. It doesn't connect the Bitcoin per share idea to those specific dollar amounts.
So the suggestion is to build that bridge, to actually show the mechanism, show how analysts are getting from A to B, from the Bitcoin metric to a dollar target that a reader can actually follow.
Exactly. And there are a couple of ways you could do this. You could, for example, outline what Bitcoin price would be needed to actually justify that higher 208 target.
Okay, that makes sense. A sensitivity analysis?
Or you could just detail the calculation. Show how that big $149.3 million preferred stock raise directly impacts the current Bitcoin per share figure. That would give the immediate upside valuation some real teeth.
Excellent. Okay, that's a great point on the price targets. Let's move to the second issue, which is, it's about dilution. The entire narrative around the SATA preferred stock is that it was raised specifically to fund Bitcoin acquisitions without diluting common shareholders.
Mm-hmm.
And yet you get to the risk section, and suddenly dilution is a major community concern. It feels like a contradiction.
It is. The material presents this real tension between the non-dilutive capital raise strategy and the market's fear of future share dilution. And that tension needs a much, much deeper look.
Yeah, because right now the report just kind of flags it. It mentions risks from the merger, from insider shares, but it feels like a box-ticking exercise.
A generic risk factor.
Exactly. It's not treated as a direct challenge to the company's core strategy, which relies on avoiding dilution, especially with that $23 million net loss hanging over everything.
That critical analysis is the missing piece. So the suggestion here is to analyze this risk through the lens of audience alignment and purpose fulfillment. You have to ask the hard question, do strategic moves, like that all-stock Semler acquisition, potentially undermine the very non-dilutive principle this whole bull case is built upon?
So you need to create that contrast explicitly for the reader. You could, for instance, put the stated purpose of the SATA raise right next to the potential impact of that all-stock merger on the share count.
Or you could dig into the specifics, what SEC's filings are actually causing this concern.
Right.
What insider share movements are people worried about? And then you have to tie that uncertainty back to how it affects the funding of the entire Bitcoin leverage strategy. It shows you're engaging with the criticism head on, not just filing it away in a risk section.
Okay, so to quickly recap, this is a strong, detailed bull case, but it needs two key things to really land. First, establish that clear, logical bridge between the Bitcoin leverage strategy and the specific price targets. Show the math.
Mm-hmm.
And second, you have to more robustly analyze how these identified dilution risks challenge the company's core non-dilutive strategy.
Those are two really actionable steps, and they'll make the entire analysis far more robust and, frankly, more logical for the reader. We're definitely looking forward to seeing the revised material whenever you're ready.